WWE is planning some returns ahead of WrestleMania. Plus, in addition to that, we are going to talk about the fascinating news surrounding a major change to WrestleMania. And yes, we are going to talk about a show on TBS getting canceled and what that means for AEW. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys like professional wrestling news, then you should go ahead and click that subscribe button and ring that bell. This way you never miss a video. I want to kick things off with John Cena. Wipeout on TBS is being canceled. Warner Bros. Discovery on Monday. Jason Sarlanis, he's the president of TNT, TBS, True TV, ID, and HLN, streaming and linear television at Warner Bros. Discovery. And he actually stated during a keynote session at the Real Screen Summit in Miami that the show has been canceled after 3 seasons. Now, as reported by Deadline, Sarlanis indicated that the cost of the show was not enough to keep it around. Now, as you guys know, Wipeout was a show that aired early back in the day, like 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, something like that. TBS revived the show. John Cena and Nicole Byer hosted the show. And you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with professional wrestling? Well, guys, here's the thing. Warner Bros. Discovery is making cuts. Now, I'm not saying that AEW is going away. I'm not doing no fear-mongering tactics or anything like that. But it is very, very important to look at the trends of a television company when they are doing business. And I think one of the most fascinating things is that Wipeout cost a lot of money to produce, and basically the viewership and the attention and the show itself is just not generating enough interest or bringing enough viewers to the TNT TBS network, right? Now, with that being said, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because for AEW, that could potentially happen if they continue to sink further and further and further. However, I don't think that's the case, and I don't expect that to be the case, and nor do I think that will ever be the case. I think it would have to be a very, very, very dramatic downfall for AEW in order for them to get cut. And I think largely the reason for that is because Warner Bros. Discovery prioritizes live sports over these scripted, these shows, these competitive shows, these reality shows, that kind of environment, right? That kind of content is less valuable than live content. So the reason why I'm talking about this topic is because I want you to know the difference of how TV networks look at their programming. There is more money there's more upside and money from potentially AEW than there would be for a reality show of some sort. And TNT, TBS, obviously they're losing the NBA. So this is one of those things that you have to kind of understand. We'll have to see if they ever change course, but I don't think this is a big deal for AEW unless it gets dramatically worse. And I don't really foresee that happening. Okay, let's talk about WrestleMania. WrestleMania is going to be happening on Saturday. So is NXT Stand and Deliver. This is where things get really crazy because this year there could be a very big change. Sources within the WWE, basically, for those who don't know, they are essentially planning on having WrestleMania begin at 6 p.m. Eastern time, with basically NXT starting at NXT Stand and Deliver beginning at 12 p.m. Eastern time. So obviously this means that WrestleMania will have an earlier start time, and because of that, it could cause an issue for people trying to get into the stadium for WrestleMania. If you're leaving NXT trying to go to the stadium, it's actually not that far from each other because NXT is at the T-Mobile Arena and the pay-per-view is at the Allegiant Stadium. It's only about a mile and a half roughly away from each other. However, you obviously got to take into consideration the traffic. I actually don't like this, and I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me here, but I don't think it's fair for those who go to an NXT show on Saturdays. If you're trying to go to NXT and WrestleMania, which I think most people are, obviously there's a lot of people flying into Las Vegas. It's a tourist destination. They're going for WrestleMania. They might be checking out NXT. I think it kind of sucks for them, man. You know, you're going to be at that pay-per-view at T-Mobile Arena for 2 or 3 hours, maybe even more. And then immediately right after, you're going to have to get transportation to the stadium, which, by the way, as you guys know, WrestleMania stadium show, once the doors open, it is going to take a very, very, very long time to get into the stadium. I genuinely just think it's not going to be a good benefit for wrestling fans. I think it's too tiresome. I think it's a lot of stuff that people have to do just to get to WrestleMania. And basically, if you're flying to Las Vegas and you are making that conscious decision of going to NXT and WrestleMania, your entire day is pretty much just wrestling, which I think will cause fatigue. And I need to say this because WrestleMania could be the greatest card in the world, but you have to take a look at those outliers, those things that are happening outside of your event, and those things could potentially play into the crowd reaction. It could play into, what fans are feeling in the moment. Is this a dramatic thing? Is this like a really big deal? No, but it's just really silly that instead of starting WrestleMania at 8 p.m. Eastern, they're looking at it doing it about 2-3 hours before. I don't think that makes a lot of sense for WWE. I think having a bigger gap would be better, or better yet, don't have NXT TakeOver on Saturday during the day. But this is what happens when WWE chooses to do 2 nights of WrestleMania. Saturday could have been dedicated to NXT like it was back in the day, but they chose to do 2 WrestleManias, which obviously from a business perspective makes way more sense. However, I do think NXT gets the short end of the stick. Do people genuinely care or not? I don't know. WWE is planning some returns. Dakota Kai is expected back in a few weeks. She is cleared from her concussion protocol, as well as Jade Cargill. Obviously, WWE planning these returns. It's very interesting. WWE's plan is for Jade Cargill to return before WrestleMania, which means that they do have some sort of plan for her at WrestleMania. I'm assuming that Jade Cargill's return is largely going to be going into WrestleMania with a singles match against the person that attacked her. I do think for Jade Cargill, it's probably going to be Naomi or Bianca. However, I don't know. Maybe I'm just jumping the gun, so we'll see how they build that storyline out. Dakota Kai is obviously very, very, very close to returning. A lot of people are expecting her to be back by the end of the month. This is according to PWInsider.com. Now, obviously, for WWE planning these returns, that's a good thing. Obviously, injuries happen. Dakota Kai's was a little bit more scary because there was a little bit more information revealed. We obviously saw what happened to Dakota Kai. We saw that she was hurt. We saw her head bounce off the mat. These injuries that are happening, a lot of people are getting hurt, and then they take some time and then they come back. WWE has to build their women's mid-card, so Dakota Kai is definitely needed. And obviously with Jade Cargill, we don't even really know the full extent to her injury because there's been very little information on that. There's been a lot of rumors, maybe it's even a work. But listen, WWE needs these returns. You never want to see people out and injured and hurt and whatever it may be. So obviously I'm looking forward to them coming back. And we'll see what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Angle Show. I'm going to keep you guys updated every single day. So make sure you guys click subscribe and don't forget The Angle Show live 12 p.m. Monday through Friday Eastern. I'll see you guys later.